gave up to the Wild. Okay, the fourth goal was kind of fluky. I don't blame him on that one. But, I mean, sorry. The Zucker goal has got to stop. The Eriksson Ek goal, he's got to stop. The Foligno goal, he's got to stop. That was a winnable game. And once again, the Wild don't take advantage. Who was it earlier about a month ago? It was a goalie that, none of us have ever heard of. And he's thrown in to play the Wild, and the Wild had, 2 shots in, the first 20 minutes of the game or something. It's this is what they do.
Please join us at Dulono's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis on January 28th, 6 o'clock. Again, we had a big crowd last time. It's always a lot of fun. The food is really good. And if you have a gluten allergy like I do, you can have gluten-free pizza. It's the best in town. They've been doing it for 60 years. This is their newer location. They also have a location in Woodbury. The downtown location is 118 North 4th Street. It's right by all the sporting venues, right by all the music venues. They are open till 3. They're open to 11 a.m. to 3 a.m., so you can go lunch, you go happy hour, before games, after games, late night. 612-767-9494 is what you call to get pizza delivered or to check in on them, and you can go to DeLano'sPizza.com to order pizza online, which is the way I do it all the time, and it will show up looking pristine. I really highly recommend Dulono's Pizza. Come out January 28th, Monday night, 6 o'clock, for a reunion show with Michael Russo. And again, get to come out and meet a lot of great people as well. Thanks to them for sponsoring the program. Do you want to go to Twitter questions, or was another point you want to make?
I think Twitter. We got tons of them, I see.
We do have tons of them. Let me see. We haven't heard from Mike Burgoyne in a while. Let's go to our old friend Mike. Will Leopold ever see we need more than tweaks and give the okay for a semi-rebuild? He will benefit financially in the long term.
I thought you were going to read the Burgoyne tweet that I actually retweeted today just to send to – it was my way of letting Wild fans know that, yes, Mike, as usual, is correct. I think a lot of Wild fans forget the fact or don't know the fact that Ottawa, in a move that could potentially cost Pierre Dorion his job, traded their first-round pick in the Duchesne deal without lottery protection. So they right now are tied for last in the NHL. And if they win the lottery, the Colorado Avalanche will own the number 1 pick in next year's draft.
Wow.
So, or if they win the lottery and, they could wind up with second. Either way, the Avs, the nemesis that is the Avs, could potentially get an absolute superstar. So not only do the Avs do it the right way, where they have great years and they're awful and get guys like McKinnon and, it's like they always seem to figure out a way to lose, but when they lose awful, so they get top picks. Now they're going to get one by the virtue of just incompetence. Sorry.
Well, we have our regulars lined up. Russo's Filter.
In terms of Burgoyne, what did Burgoyne said?
Basically,
I don't know. I mean, part of my wondering here is is Paul Fenton kind of let's see how bad we really could be, so I can convince Craig Leopold that this team isn't good enough. I mean, that's part of me. The longer this goes without him doing anything, makes me think that maybe that's what he's trying to do here, is show Craig, look, it's a broken record. They're doing it again. Only now they're getting older, and this is I don't know. I mean, I know that every year when they're in this roller coaster, we feel like it's the worst roller coaster ever, but this just, I don't know. This one is bothersome. And again, I've been saying for the last 2-3 years that they're making their bed. I mean, for 2-3 years, I've been sounding this alarm that it was time to break this thing up, to at least trade a couple of these core players, and they never made core-altering moves. And the second they committed to all these guys, you're getting the same team back. Yep. Because again, Koivu, Stahl, Parise, Suter are only getting older. So if you commit to the core that continues to fail in the postseason, I did take a little shot in my gamer where I pointed out that the Niederreiter-Zucker goal that happened a couple minutes in the game in front of Chuck Fletcher were 1 point more each than they each had in the playoffs. It got Fletcher fired. Threw that in there.
It's a fact.
So.
From Russo's Filter, I don't even know what to ask at this point. Who's up next on the baby carousel?
What's that mean?
Who's the next kid to come up from Iowa?
Oh, probably not a kid. I mean, Kyle Rao had a hat trick yesterday. Greenway and Cunnin are a little banged up right now, so maybe we see him at some point. But, I mean, there's not much down there. Belpedio would be the only other, to me, anything close. But, I mean, Sokolov's on the fourth line. Susi has not been good all year long. I mean, this Iowa team's pretty amazing that they keep on winning like this. Like I was talking to Pat Micheletti today, who called the game last night against San Diego. He's doing good. He pointed out that their best defenseman last night, which he wasn't even taking a shot, but he's like, they're just to show the way that they're sort of overachieving. Their best defenseman last night was Hunter Warner, and if you look at their roster, they're having a great year, but there's not a lot of players on that team that we're going to ever see in this situation. So it's not like we can all look at Iowa and say, wow, the future is bright for the Minnesota Wild. No, it's not. They didn't have a player in the World Juniors. Their only player in Corey Cronman's top 57 skaters prospects this is Kirill Kaprizov, who I think was down to like 16. He's still a figment of our imagination, but no other prospect on the Wild made his list. And by the way, Philip Johansson, their first-round pick, didn't make the list, and the guy that the Wild that was taken right after Philip Johansson was like in his top 15. So that is a little concerning. Anyway.
One of the great things about having sponsors is not only the ability to run this network and do these shows, but also we become friends with them and we use their services all the time. John Hedges from Fixology Repair just fixed a couple of my tablets. He's worked on all 18 of Michael Russo's watches, the ever-changing watch collection. So you're in good hands if you go to Fixology Repair, third floor of Mall of America by Nordstrom's, downtown in the Skyway, just south of the Wells Fargo Center, right across from Dunn Brothers. And one other note I want to throw in here, SodaStick.com sponsors the basketball show John Krasinski, who is Michael Russo's colleague and just won Sports Writer of the Year in Minnesota. And, if you like hockey apparel, gear, doodads, barbecue stuff, check out SodaStick.com. You'll get some Wild and North Star type apparel you can wear around. But back to John Hedges, FixologyRepair.com.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at FixologyRepair.com or at FixologyMN on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
From Biff Sticks. Mike Swanger asks, why does Bruce insist on having only one right-handed shot on the first team power play? Lack of alternatives seems like would be easy to defend.
Well, I mean, first of all, in terms of the right shots, I mean, we've been sounding that alarm now for a couple of years. Yep. But I mean, how many do they have? I mean, you're not putting Prosser on the power play. You're not putting Patterin on the power play. So you only have Spurgeon. Dumba's hurt. Up front, you're not putting J.T. Brown on the power play. You got Charlie Coyle, and that's it. Luke Cunnin. So Luke has finally worked his way into the power play. So he's trying to mix it up, but you only got 3 power play righties. So. I'm not sure what Bruce could do. He can't all of a sudden make 4 guys change the way they shoot the puck and put them on right side. So it's the nature of the way that this team is constructed. At the beginning of the year, Bruce tried his best to take advantage of the fact that they had all the lefties by having the all-lefty power play, and that obviously didn't work. Because Granlund's not a superstar.
From Eric Vigo, did you get to joke with Chuck Fletcher if he has any second-round draft picks to give back to the Wild on the last trip? Did you actually talk to Fletcher?
Yeah, I did yesterday, very briefly, and he sent me a long text the other day, just because I've been trying to obviously do a story. He hasn't talked since he's been fired publicly, and so I figured, all right, let's try it, and he declined, and he explained why in the text, and look, I'm sure fans want to hear from him, but I can't make him speak. But I went by their booth and talked to him. Before the game yesterday, and it was funny. Brent Flair was in there, and the security guy opened the door to let me in, and Brent looked at the security guy. Brent is really quick and sarcastic. Brent looked at the security guy and goes, "This is why we have security." So it broke the ice pretty well. But it was just so weird to be in the Philly press box, go into the Philly GM's booth, which is in the corner on the right side of the ice as opposed to the left in Minnesota. And you walk in there, and there's Brent Flair, and there's Chuck Fletcher, like I've done every year for 9 years here, and see them. And then Chuck's having a conversation with Bobby Clark, who I'm like, well, Bobby hired him in Florida in 1993. Like, you know,
I covered Bobby here.
So it's just, I mean, it was just kind of like it was just bizarre being in there. Like, I couldn't even get it out of my head how weird it was that we're in the Flyers box, a team that Chuck Fletcher used to despise. It's the team that the Florida Panthers beat in the 95-96 second round to get to the conference final against Pittsburgh. And, you know, the whole Legion of Doom, and watching Eric Lindros turn Rob Niedermeyer into a checker that series. He went from a goal scorer to a checker with one hit. So it was just, you know, it was just bizarre. So,
from Matt Zenner, when do we start the push to move this team to Quebec City?
That might be Ottawa.
From Nikolai, how tough has it been getting info on the Wild side of things with Fenton at the helm now, and do you see this changing at all?
Very tough. I mean, he keeps everything close to the vest. He's not very trustworthy of a lot of, you know, I think of his staff even. So you know, it is very difficult, and that's going to change. You know, that hopefully will change at some point here. I don't expect him to sit there and talk trade with me and things like that, but you'd love him to be more forthcoming a lot of things. And, you know, and to me, I've always told GMs, to me it helps them to at least have conversations with me. It doesn't always have to be on the record, but you want me to at least understand your rationale for doing things or why you're doing things, so I can be the liaison, the conduit between the team and the fan, and explain it correctly, because you don't want me shooting from the hip. An example is like, you know, I wanted to do a mailbag tomorrow, and they were down in Florida having their scouting meetings, and I don't want to do the mailbag because all of a sudden everything I write, because I know that everybody right now is going to ask about trades. Well, I don't want to sit there and just make stuff up, throw stuff against the wall. I want to actually, you know, to me, there's an old Bob Ryan, the sports columnist for the Boston Globe, one of my heroes in this business, had a great line once where he said, actually, no, you know who told me this? John Lowe, the old baseball writer for the Detroit
He was
Free
one of
Press.
my mentors when I first started covering baseball.
He is the one that told me, he goes, it's not my job to tell you what I think of Jim Leland. It's my job to tell you what Jim Leland is thinking. He once said that to me, and it was like in my mind. And that's sort of how I am. Like, my job is not to sit there and just give you my opinion on what he might be doing. Yeah, but like, even like, you know, it's not my opinion. Like, even in my story today, where I'm kind of guessing, like, it would make sense to call on Simmons, it would make sense to call on Puljujärvi. I'm just making that up because I don't know. I do know that he has talked to Chuck about a number of things, but like, I want to be able to actually talk to him so I can give information and report things. So yeah, I do hope that he becomes a little more transparent in here. I understand why he's also under pressure right now. He hasn't been able to make a trade yet. It's not without the lack of trying. We're still trying to find out if he knows how to make a trade. I mean, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making trades that he's never, ever, ever had to deal with. You know, understanding that guys have no trade clauses, understanding salary cap repercussions and ramifications. You know, this is stuff that he needs to lean on people to learn. And, you know, from what I hear from other teams is that, like, a lot of times he'll be calling up and you know, he'll be asking about players that it's even hard to even understand how the dots were connected in Paul's mind at some point. So we'll see. You know, he's a rookie GM, and so he's learning on the fly too. As long as and this is a guy that has been in the business for a long time, but look, he's a scout. His job the last 18 years was scouting, and hopefully that's an area where he really helped this organization, especially from an amateur side. But the other stuff, you know, he is learning. I mean, he's a rookie GM.
A few more Twitter questions. Do want to thank Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent, works in Champlin. You can work with him no matter where you live via app, email, phone, whatever. He has a very nimble staff. H-O-A-G-L-U-N-D.
I talked to Michaela there today.
Did you? Okay,
yep.
cool.
Yep.
And that's another example of us using our connections with sponsors. We both get our insurance through State Farm and Tony Hoaglund.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all 700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
From gentle soreness, I know Doobie is a go-to quote